Hey everyone, Zach Mason here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're not familiar with this channel, what we do is we talk about biblical prophecy, current events, and dreams and visions that God has been giving to many people, specifically for our guidance and protection. He's giving us more detailed, specific information that is actually included in prophecy. Prophecy in the Bible is very general. It's hard to know whether you should buy a house or not buy a house, or what's coming in what month, from biblical prophecy, because it's a very big picture, was for all generations. Now he has begun speaking to people in dreams and visions and even prophetic words. And in these segments I call dream news on here is typically things that have been fulfilled or are being fulfilled that I'm bringing your attention to. And we have another prophecy that was fulfilled by a word given to You Be Ready back in June 13th of 2018. You Be Ready is the name of the channel on YouTube. The word or the title of this video is called Aftermath. Byron Searle is the man's real name. And I'm not going to go into detail why I believe he is hearing from God. I'm very cautious about that. I don't just accept. If someone says they have a prophetic word from Jesus, I'm very cautious about that because it's so easy to say. So there's really only a handful of people for me that I have verified for sure are hearing from God, and I can trust everything they're saying. And I have personally reached the point where I believe the messages that You Be Ready are reporting are really just Jesus speaking, and it's not Byron Searle speaking. Well, we have another fulfillment of one of those, again from this word from Aftermath, June 3rd, 2018. Here is a part of what was said.
My son, keep your eyes on all the acts of the plays. Act number 1 is the Middle East. All nations are plying for position, and war is on the horizon. Turkey will keep its king by a narrow margin, and I will use him to bring judgment.
Now, I had just actually reviewed this message just a few weeks ago, and I believe it was 2 Fridays ago from the recording of this video. I'm not sure when I'll post this video, but back, I guess it would have been May 12th. I think May 12th. Don't hold me to that. But if that was a Friday, let me look real quick. Sorry, let me look at my calendar. I'll tell you exactly what day. Yeah, so May 12th. May 12th, I had been just reviewing this word and saw that it had referenced Turkey and these elections. And if you've read my book, Revelation Unfolding, you know that I have been talking for a long time that I believed President Erdogan of Turkey was possibly or probably the little horn of Daniel, who was going to rise up and reform the Islamic Caliphate in the Middle East. His name adds up to 666. He's the actual head of the Islamic State of ISIS. He's done a lot of bad things. Very arrogant. He's got the biggest house in the world. There was a lot of reasons that I've laid out in the book why I thought so. But as I'm reading this, I'm really, okay, Turkey will keep its king by a narrow margin, and I will use him to bring judgment. So I guess God had me review this word that day because I said, you know what? I know Turkey's having elections this year. I haven't been paying attention. When are those elections? Because everybody's been talking about, oh, will Erdogan win? Will he win? It's going to be close. And I thought, when are they? So I look, and all of a sudden I realized it's 2 days later. It's May 14th, I believe, were the elections on that Sunday. And all of a sudden, for a moment there, I said, uh-oh, this is going to determine a lot right here, because I've said I believe You Be Ready is hearing from God, and we're about to have the election that will either prove You Be Ready right or not. And then on top of that, what if Erdogan loses? Then everything I've been teaching for the past 5 years might be, I'd have to recalibrate a lot of things, and really question my understanding here. But so I had a little moment of kind of puckering and doubt and fear there, but I, just lasted a few seconds. And said, well, I'm going to have to believe what I believe, because it's not just wishful belief. I've come to these beliefs through solid analysis and trusting in God's word. So I just waited until Sunday. Sure enough, guess what happened Sunday? Erdogan won by a narrow margin, predicted 5 years earlier. Here's the report.
Turkey's presidential election will go to a runoff later this month. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan took a 5% lead over his main rival, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, in Sunday's vote. They will now face each other once again on May 28th. Now,
obviously, there is going to be a runoff election in Turkey because he didn't get above 50%, but it doesn't matter. This prophecy has been fulfilled. He won by a narrow margin. And I have no doubt he's going to win the next one too. I don't know if that one will be a big margin or narrow one. Probably narrow one again, because he's trying to make it seem like it was a real election. These aren't real elections. If you know anything about Erdogan, it's not a real election. But it was unpredictable whether he was just going to do a blowout or eke out a victory like this. And you be ready. You know, this word that he gave 5 years ago predicted it. That's pretty good. That shows, in my opinion, another confirmation he is hearing from God. But there's an interesting thing here, because he said, "My son, keep your eyes on all the acts of the plays." There's more acts than just Act 1.
Act 2 is Europe. Many of the kings are all jostling for a position to be leader of the world. Watch the young prince climb to the top. Act 3. The Chinese king wants to rule the world, but I have other plans for him. Many will call it the Red Scourge. The American king thinks he's the greatest peace deal maker known to man. His pride and arrogance will be his downfall, but he will take the nation down with him. Act 5. The Russian king wants to own the world. He is boasting of conquering anyone that gets in his way. I am in his way, and I will destroy him and his armies.
All right, so it is my belief that these acts that Jesus is referring to, Act 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, are successive. I believe that they come one after another. One reason is Act 5. It says the Russian king wants to own the world. He is boasting of conquering anyone that gets in his way. I am in his way, and I will destroy him and his armies. So that, to me, seems to be a reference to Armageddon. I know some would interpret that as the war of Gog and Magog, but it's not right. And I've explained in many other videos why. So I believe that's referencing Armageddon. So I think these are the 5 acts that take us from now to then, almost 5 stages, but they're all geographically oriented as well. But let's talk about what each one means. So Act 1 is the Middle East, right? Turkey, this election, Turkey is important. It singles it out because, as I've said many times, I believe Erdogan is the little horn and is going to begin launching the Islamic Caliphate. I think that's what that is referencing. Act 2, it says, is Europe. Many of the kings are all jostling for a position to be leader of the world. Interesting. Be leader of the world. Yes, the Western civilization thinks that they're going to still rule the world, and this is indicating they're expecting the United States to drop. Okay, in fact, Act 2 might be jostling for position to rule the world because the United States has already dropped by this point in prestige and power, economic power. It says, watch the young prince climb to the top. I don't know who that is. The immediate assumption would be Emmanuel Macron, but I don't know. I don't know who that is yet. I'm asking God to clarify it with me. We'll see. Act 3, the Chinese king wants to rule the world. So everybody wants to rule the world. We know this from the book of Revelation. Only Jesus is worthy. The Chinese king wants to rule the world, but I have other plans for him. Many will call it the Red Scourge. What does that mean? What does that mean, the Red Scourge? I don't know. It sounds like a disease. Some kind of disease, but I've researched it. There's nothing out there I can find that is called that, but we'll wait to hear that phrase. Act 4, the American king, unfortunately, this is not the current president, because it says the American king thinks he's the greatest peace deal maker known to man. Remember, this was given in 2018, this word. Donald Trump was president then, and that's who this is talking about. He thinks he's the greatest peace deal maker known to man. His pride and arrogance will be his downfall, but he will take the nation down with him. And if you are a big Trump fan, I'm sorry, I did vote for Donald Trump twice, and I liked a lot of his policies. But I think going forward, every believer needs to distance themselves from Donald Trump, as he is not representing the will of God. He also, like the Biden White House, lit up his house in rainbow colors the day the Respect for Marriage Act was passed in Congress, which is going to be used to persecute all of us who believe in the Bible. Trump is not going to be the ruler you think he's going to be. And this is what Jesus is warning us about. Don't attach yourself to him, believers. Okay? And how will he take the nation down with him? Well, his determination to be president, and you can argue rightful, wrong, will it be legitimate? It doesn't really matter, but his determination to be president will take the nation down with him. Act 5, we said the Russian king wants to own the world. He is boasting of conquering anyone that gets in his way. I am in his way, and I will destroy him and his armies. So notice pride is through all of this. The Middle East, nations are applying for position. At Europe, many of its kings are jostling for a position to be leader of the world. The Chinese king wants to rule the world. The American king thinks he's the greatest peace deal maker known to man. The Russian king wants to own the world. It's just pride everywhere and ego. God opposes the proud, and Jesus says, I am in his way, and I will destroy him and his armies. This does, and note, he also said, my son, so many acts to follow. How can the Hananiahs, the lying false prophets of the new apostolic Reformation movement, say peace and blessings? So we just need to remember, anybody claiming to be hearing from God is talking. It says peace, blessings, prosperity, security for the future of the United States. They're not talking. Don't have a message from God. We're here. Judgment is here. Judgment is here. It's time. I saw a map. I'm gonna look for it. I think I've got it here on my recorded on my computer. And if you see it on the video just now, it's because I found it and I put it up there. But it showed basically that in 2007, there was two clinics that would do gender reassignment for minors, underage children. Now you see the map in 2023, and it's just full of, points of clinics that are doing this surgery. And they're not doing it because nobody's using the service, right? They're using the service. This is a plague. And when a nation is doing sex change operations on 3-year-olds that have no idea what's going on, it's time for judgment. There's no judgment is all that God will bring. All right. So anyways, not a happy word here, but what I am happy about is that Jesus is giving us actual intelligence. He's telling us what's coming so we can plan and so we can see where we're at in the timeline of things. This all is encouragement. If you are able to trust him and have faith and not fear, if you're staying in his word, you'll be filled with his strength and power. Then these words don't bring fear to you. They just bring enlightenment and understanding and an ability to plan. Okay. So that's what they do for me. And in turn, I try to help you understand what's going on and put all the data together. I hope this was helpful. And there's already some more fulfillments that I know I need to do videos on. But this is all we're going to talk about in this one. So you guys have a great day. We'll see you soon.